In this quickie episode of Between Two Biomes, Masta and Mashie discuss the relationship between GSPro, SGT, and OPCD. They also discuss how you, yes, you, can help with course beta testing. And lastly, are you confused about what V3 and V4 of the OPCD tools mean? Well, stay tuned and find out. Hello, hello, hello. I am Masta Blasta, and I have my buddy here, Mashie, and we do a show called Between Two Biomes, which we normally do course reviews. Every week we do a show with course reviews, but we're doing a special show here
Yep.
for two reasons. One is I think there's some information that we need to get out to you guys. And the
Yep.
second thing is we need like 11 more subscribers to get to 1,000. So we
Please,
are begging.
people, 11 more.
So please subscribe if you haven't. If you don't know, when you get to a 1,000 subscribers, you have officially made it, I think, in YouTube, and you get to
I think,
monetize, right? So you
yeah.
get some advertising, you get maybe some money back in your pocket. So Mash and I really just want to go out and buy bourbon.
We
So
want to split the 5 cents we're going to get so that
yes,
we can save up and each buy a bottle of bourbon.
yeah,
And normally for those that haven't seen us before, we normally start every show with a review of what we're drinking. And
right.
I was going to ask you, what are you drinking today?
Well, it's a little early today, so we both
I'm
actually have
drinking
real
water.
jobs. So other than our real jobs, we are both designers. I think we're called veteran designers because we have contributed back to the community. You have I think you're over 20 courses now. I only
That's
have
right.
5. I do a lot of the training videos. We call the None to
Yep.
Done series. So those are
Yep.
also on this channel that you're subscribing to.
Yep.
But today's show, we're going to switch things up a little bit and do something differently, which I think is some information that we need to get out to people. So agenda-wise, what we're hoping to cover in 15 minutes or less is explain to you guys the relationship between GSPro, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, SGT, Simulator Golf Tour, and OPCD. Now, maybe you haven't heard of SGT, but I think most people have. But I think a lot of people
Right.
haven't heard of OPCD, which is the organization that does the design. Okay. Now, if you're not interested in that, down at the bottom of this video, along the bar, the timeline, you can skip ahead to these other sections because we're also going to be talking about after that. We need your help.
Yep.
We want you to help us beta test the courses that the design community is putting out. We need help with that. So we're going to show you how to do that. Right? It's very simple. And we're also going to show there's been, I think, a lot of misinformation out there about OPCD, which is Open Platform Course Design. Those are the tools that we use to design courses. V3 is the version that is currently in production. V4 is what's in beta, and I think there's some confusion about what those are and what that means. So we're going to talk about that at the end too.
I'm very impressed, by the way, because I was getting ready to do a stump the chump and be like, "Hey, Master Blaster, what does OPCD stand for?" And you nailed it right off the gate. So nicely done.
OPCD, isn't that like a medical condition?
I think it's a respiratory condition where maybe you have trouble breathing. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but
you may
it
experience
is not.
shortness of breath, loose stools, and other things.
So if Mastiff falls, if he's no longer here by the end of this 15 minutes, maybe I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't have OPCD.
Yep. And of course, we can't forget the shameless plug. Whoops.
Up.
Yep. Shameless plug, which is go to our website, which is betweentwobiomes.com. Al Pacino basically quoted, and he let us use this, which is it's the Oscars of fucking course building, right?
I listen. For those of you that are on Facebook and not in the Discord channel, no problem, perfectly fine. But you have seen the nonstop, endless posts of what are the best courses? What should we play?
Yes.
Go here. Go to between two biomes. Click on the gauntlet, and we have listed out every course that has gotten our must play of the week. And then our gauntlet rewards of birdie, eagle, and ace. They're the best of the best rewards that the courses have been given. They're all V4 courses, and there's about 25 or 30 of them so far, and growing every week. So that's the place. That's the place to go. You want to find the best courses? That's the place to go.
Right. All right. So let's get down to the meat here, which is All right, so everybody here, I'm assuming you know what GSPro is. You've played GSPro, and
I hope
maybe
so.
you've done some tournaments through SGT. What we want to do is explain to Lee how these three things relate to each other, because I think there's some misconceptions on what their roles are and what they do. Okay.
Right.
Now let's have some fun with this first of all. No, we like to joke around and have some fun. So I'm going to call GS Pro the pot, all right, because that's where everything comes together, and that's where we all spend most of our most people spend their
Well,
time in GS Pro, right,
right.
playing golf.
Right.
And because the things that are done in OPCD, which we'll talk about, and what happens in SGT all comes together inside of GS Pro, and that's run by two guys, two developers, which is unbelievable. Um, and for those guys to run all that, they need a lot of support, and they get it from OPCD and they get it from SGT. Now I call
Right.
SGTs the waiter because they deliver everything. Okay, and you're gonna understand what that means in a second. That's a sing. Well, Cook I think has some help now. He's got a couple guys working for him. So that's Chad
I
Cook.
think he does. Yeah. I think his
Yep,
brother might be helping him too.
his
Yep.
brother might be helping, and I think RM Sanger was recently hired, I think, to help him as
Ah.
well. Yep.
Ah. Great. Great.
So I call that cooking company, right? The waiter.
Yep.
Then what's now less commonly known, I think, is what I call the kitchen, where everything is kind of the courses are made, and that's OPCD. And inside there, we've got what we call commonly called the big three, and
The big three.
we have the nicknames too: the psychiatrist, the architect, and the
The
magician,
architect and the magician.
or the
Yep.
shrink. Do we call them the shrinks?
The shrink, yeah, it depends. But the magician, yeah,
Yeah.
the architect, the psychiatrist, the shrink, yep,
But
which is
Stingray,
Sting,
DP
Stingray.
Roberts, and John
Yep,
Meyer, who are really
yep.
the devs for the OPCD tools, and I'm putting them in the kitchen. So we got the kitchen, the pot, and the waiter. All right, walk into
It's
a
really
bar.
weird. It's really weird looking at this because, well, first thing comes to mind. I think most people watching this are going to spend most of their time in GS Pro, except you and I are spending probably most of our time
Yes,
over in the kitchen, right?
yes.
Like we spend all of our time over there and less time in GS Pro and SGT. The other thought that I was wondering is like with your whole kind of waiter, kitchen, restaurant theme, are you a Guy Fieri fan? Are you Emeril Lagasse? Like what chef fan are you were you thinking of when you put this together?
Oh man, that's a good, probably a Guy Fieri. That's yeah.
Oh, look at you.
Because
Okay.
I
You're
don't know
not a
many of them. That's
you're
why.
not Bobby Flay, you're not
No, no. What about you?
uh, that's a good question. I don't know. I guess I got to go um I don't know. I probably got to go either Guy or
Gordon
yeah, I
Ramsay?
probably got. No, I don't like the yelling and screaming. It's not my style. I guess I'll
Nice.
go Guy Fieri as well.
All right. So how do these things relate? If this reminds me back in the checks and balances of social studies that I did, back in middle school, right? The three
Yep.
branches of the
Yep.
government. So what do
Yep.
they do? So GS Pro and SGT have this relationship where SGT actually hosts the tournaments. Okay. So when you play something in GS Pro is actually going out to the SGT resources and figuring out what tournament you're a part of, and it sends all your shots and all your statistics to SGT to play those tournaments. So
Right.
that's the relationships there. So they obviously have to work close together, and they do that through. I don't know if it's actually an API, but there's definitely an integration there. Another thing that SGT does for GS Pro is they actually Cook hosts the course files. So the
Right.
courses that are created by the designers are sent to SGT, and they're hosted by SGT. And so then when you hit download, you're downloading a course from SGT to play in GS Pro. So
And
that's
not
a key
just
piece
for
of it.
tournaments.
That's
Not
correct.
even if you're going to play an individual round just yourself, not in an SGT tournament, when you click download on a course, it's downloading it from one of the SGT servers, but you're running it inside of the GS Pro software.
Got it. So that's important. So when everyone says GS Pro does not make courses, they don't. They do not make them, and they actually do not host them either. Okay, that is done by SGT. Very important. So what's the relationship between GS Pro and OPCD? So this one isn't so much a technical like API exchange directly of information. This is really the big three in the kitchen talking to the two devs in the pot about what kind of design features and functionalities that we want inside of GSPro to make our courses better. So
Right.
when we talk about doing things like VF4 later on, or something like Target Golf, which requires
Right.
some very specific code in GSPro, those are the conversations that are happening between GSPro and the designers and the big three to make courses better for you guys. So nothing direct there, okay? We don't give any courses to GSPro. They go over to SGT, right? The only thing we do is we talk and we say, hey, could you do this? Could you do this? Can we design this? Can you help us? So that's kind of, I'd say, more of an informal relationship there than it is between SGT and GSPro.
Yeah, it's more opportunistic in the fact that a designer wants to develop a specific course or do something specific in that course, and GSPro does not support it.
Right.
If GSPro doesn't support that thing, then we work through the big three to go back to the GSPro devs and say, can you add code to go do this?
And this,
The other thing I will say is to be found, and I've been a recipient of this, is we've also found that building courses certain ways, we need to add code into GSPro to fix things. So, for example, I had too many layers. I had too many
yes,
layers on top of each other,
too many
and it caused
bunkers.
some too many. Yeah, exactly. Early days in course building,
Yeah.
and it caused some weird ball stuff to happen. It would fall through the mesh, and so GSPro put some code in there to prevent that in the future.
So that's where there's so many times that people report an issue with a course, and if someone says, "Oh, that's not a course issue, that's a GSPro issue," right? So there's some
Right.
things that you might not understand in that relationship. Um, so yeah, so that's the relationship there. Now the relationship, this is probably the one that most people don't understand what happens here is
Yeah.
once you create a course using the OPCD tools, and what we do is we compile that course and we call build, quote unquote, the course. We ship that over to SG, and these, you guys know these files are pretty big, 800 meg up to a gig, over a gig. And then
Yep.
SGT puts that on their hosted platform to go to GS Pro. And so it's, in other words, they're hosting our courses on our behalf, and we're providing the courses. So GS Pro benefits because even if you're not playing SGT, you can play the courses that we make, and SGT benefits because when he runs tournaments, you can use the courses that we make. Okay,
Yep.
so pretty straightforward here. Now, how this holds all together though is the community, which is, when I say community, the people that play GS Pro, the people that
Yep.
play tournaments, us
Yep.
designers, and you may
Yep.
have noticed that a lot of the support comes from the community as well to help those two devs out on a daily basis so they continue to keep prices down, right? And basically give us the great features that we want. So that's the relationship here. So let's get into the next thing here is how you can help, okay? Help us beta test. So we have so many courses in beta right now. We try to get people to play our courses before it gets released to SGT. The challenge becoming though is we've between like the videos that I make, the tools getting better, GS Pro getting more popular, is we're getting more people in the design community. This is a good problem to have, and we're getting more and more courses put out. Man, I think,
Right.
are we up to 500 courses now? Are we?
I think there's over 500 in on the SGT servers. There's
Yes.
500 hosted, and I just looked. I think there's 21 courses sitting in beta right now.
Wow. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
want to keep the quality of those courses up, but the design community is falling behind on testing. So we would like to recruit some of you guys to help test. It's really a three-part process. It is not that difficult. You do not need to be a developer. You do not need to be a course designer to beta test at all. Really,
Yep.
just, I'm going to show you guys how to do this. First of all, the beta server URL to GS Pro. So when you download a course right now, you have a server that's pointing to SGT where this course is listed. Well, the beta program has its own server, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that. Then you're going to play the course, right? That's easy. That's the best part, right?
That's the best part.
That is the
Yep.
best part. And then just give some feedback on Discord. And I'm going to show you how to do that and where to do that in Discord. I know a lot of Facebook people that don't like Discord, but it is a really good place to provide this feedback. Okay. So, how do you add the beta server? So, the beta server URL that I'm going to show you here in a second is actually, I'm going to post it in the description for this video. So if you just go into YouTube, go in the
Perfect.
description, you're going to see the URL that I'm going to use right now. So if you go into local match or practice, it doesn't matter, either one. I'm going to go into local match. And you see this little button up here with an arrow, which is basically telling you this is a download server place to go. You get your course servers here. And there's going to be a couple in there automatically for you that are installed when you install GSPro. And you can see here, here's the one that's hosting all the simulator golf tour courses. And then there's a couple for GSPro as well. Now you're saying, wait, you said GSPro doesn't publish any courses. This is just the range and the practice facilities. That's it. Okay. All the courses are actually here in the simulator golf tour. Now I'm going to scroll down. This is the beta server URL. And you're thinking, oh, don't worry. It's in the show description. Just go down there, copy it,
Copy and paste.
and you're going to come here to the server URL and then just Control V to put it in there, okay, in this area right here. And then you're going to hit Add Course Server, and you're done. Now, at first, you might not see anything in here. If not, you can just go up here to Settings, go to Game, and do Reload Courses. What that's going to do is it's going to reach out to all those courses that you have listed in your course servers, and it's going to refresh and add those back to your course list.
Yep.
So when I come here and I do Show All Courses, lo and behold, we've got betas.
They're all titled beta up front. They all have the same. You will know right off the bat that they are beta courses.
Yeah, so you can go, or if you just want to, they're all going to be at the top, or you could just type in beta up here, and that would only be the betas. And now you just download and play these as you would any normal course, right?
So easy.
So easy, right? So you play and you want to give some feedback. So first of all, the feedback, if you just come in and you say, hey, I played the course and I like it, there's nothing wrong, that's great, because the more people we know have played, obviously it validates the course is fine.
Right.
But if you do find something wrong, all you really need is, hey, I saw this issue on hole blah, blah, blah. Give us the, approximately where it was at, what happened. And if you know how to do a screenshot, that's even a bigger bonus. Okay. Would love to have a screenshot, but not a requirement at all. Or what I really like is if I publish a course and someone said, hey, I've played this course before, and the tree that you have here is usually a little bit more to the left and it's a little bigger. That's great feedback too.
That feedback is great. And listen, absolutely post technical feedback. My ball is stuck in the tree here and it says wood. That's a collider issue, and the designer can go fix that, okay? But the other feedback, like you just mentioned, is so important to us as designers of, hey, I've got some local knowledge, and your colors, I'd love it if it was not quite so emerald green, or the tree is in the wrong spot, or things like that. That stuff is great feedback for us. No guarantee every single thing will get addressed in that regard, but it's really, we love that feedback.
Yep. Yeah, I'm working on Kapalua right now. I've never played it. So if people can tell me
I played it twice, so get me a playable copy. I'll give you some feedback.
All right.
I lost my ball here. I lost my ball there. I lost my ball everywhere.
Now, to provide feedback, and now I will have the Discord server URL again in the description for this video on YouTube. So you can just click on that, join the Discord. And this is what the Discord server golf course design, this GCD you see up here. And if you click on this, one of the first sections at the top on our channels is this course beta testing. And then underneath there's one channel called user beta testing chat help. So if you have any questions about beta testing, you can ask in here. We're all really nice guys. And under this beta courses is a forum functionality. So think about this as channels within a channel. These should look familiar. These are all the betas that are open. These are all the betas that you'll see after adding the server to GSPro. And you can click on these. Let's say you just played Superior National at Liston by Amache.
Amache! I love his courses.
Hey, Amache. And he doesn't have any feedback yet. So he just posted this a couple days ago, doesn't have any feedback. And you just go in here and say, this thing rocked my world, right? Another thing you can do is go in here, find the oldest ones. There's one here from March, doesn't have much feedback. Oh, it does have a little bit of feedback. Find ones that don't have feedback, or just find something that looks interesting. So you can also go in here, and most designers do post a couple pictures so you get an idea of what you're going to play. Okay.
Well, it's really good if you do go in here before you play and look for ones that don't have any feedback or low feedback, and then play those. That helps the designers a ton.
Yeah. All right. On to the next thing, which is V3 and V4, OPCD tools. I think there's some confusion here. So this has nothing to do with, well, very loosely has anything to do with GSPro. We're on GSPro version 2. We are, as designers, are currently on OPCD V3
Right.
because V4 is still in beta, which means it is controlled release, which means unless you already have a course published in V3, right now the V4 tools are still private, okay?
Right.
Now I know a lot of this stuff won't make sense to the person who hasn't designed, but there's some changes in workflow. We use a lot of tools when we design in GSPro in OPCD. Probably I think maybe 8 different software platforms that we use,
I think that's right. Yeah.
about 8.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
3 of the ones that have primarily changed are what we call Inkscape, Blender, and Unity. Inkscape is what we use to draw two-dimensional shapes of like, hey, your greens over here, your fairways over here, there's bunkers over here, and we draw those shapes. Blender basically conforms those shapes and turns them into 3D meshes. And
Yep.
then Unity, which is a great name, it combines everything together. That's where we put our trees, that's where we put our textures, and that's
Textures.
that's the majority of work is inside of Unity. So what are the differences between V3 and V4? V4, the primary thing, and it's not the only thing, but is the big thing, is what we call blends. It's a better transition between the textures and the shapes inside of Unity. And I'm going to show you those in a second. We also have some better default colors, so it makes it easier for new builders to come up with really good looking courses. In
Yep.
V3, it was really easy for new builders to get oversaturated and use some textures that didn't quite match. But things are better by default now for new builders. Some better lighting, some more lighting capabilities with what we call post-processing. Gives you like some warmth, gives you some cold colors, some default, some selection options there. Better default textures. So I think the fairway textures and things look better
Look
by
better.
default. The
Correct.
3DG by default matches. It doesn't rely on the builder to have a good eye with that. But let's talk about blends for a second. So this would what a course would look like in V3, and I'm really simplifying this, but you can see here, I've got a green area. Whoops, I advanced here. I got my green. This is like a green area here on the left, and then I got a semi. I've got a fairway, and I've got a rough area, and I've got a bunker over here. And you can see what we call these hard lines here, where you can see there's definitely a beginning and an end of each different texture. Blends, it looks like we're blurring that, but that's actually not what happens. We're taking this texture, our green, and we're blending it to this fairway texture here. And this is what it looks like. Very subtle, but it's there. It looks much more natural now, right?
Right. Right.
Um,
It's a good transition from one to the next versus the hard lines.
yeah. Now people are thinking, oh, you're just blurring that, aren't you? No, those are actually whole new objects inside of Unity. So what's circled there in orange are actually transitioning from one texture to the other. And it's a lot more complicated
Yeah.
than it seems, right?
Yeah. And it's taking the texture on the left, the texture on the right, you combining them into the middle blend there and causing that blend between them. It's really good.
Yes. Um, there are no changes. So trees do not look better in V4. They're the same trees. The
No.
LiDAR doesn't change. We're not gonna be able to do more courses because more LiDAR. No, the LiDAR is what it is. That does not change. So those are some common things that I see. One thing that I shouldn't say we, the big three are adding right now is
Right.
intellectual property protection. So what's interesting about this is I just went out the other day and I did a kind of search on GSPro like reviews. In nearly every golf simulator forum or article right now that talks about simulator has GSPro at the top. So what
Right.
does that mean? That means everybody's chasing GSPro now. And if these guys don't protect the scripting, the tools that they've been created to do all this, someone's going to probably take them and use them. So they're going to start
Yep.
encrypting some of the things that we do inside of Unity. So it's not so easy. If someone has that course file that you download in GSPro from SGT, it's not going to be easy for them to reverse engineer it.
Right. And it also protects the designer's work too.
Yes,
Somebody else can't take your course, download it, and then reverse engineer it and create a new version of the same course using the same assets you did. Correct.
good point. Absolutely right. Yes, protection for everyone, especially the Patreon guys who are doing this for a living.
Exactly.
So that is it. please subscribe. We're almost there. Hopefully, but maybe we'll go check after this. Maybe we magically made it to 1,000. Check out the show.
We've been at 11 for like a week now, so
it's painful. It's painful. All right. So that was a quickie, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was good. Listen, if you guys find these little short videos helpful with info like this that are not just the reviews that we do, we'll continue to do those as well. Let us know. I think we've got a couple of different ideas on how to add to this as well. So just let us know in the comments if you thought it was good and want to see more.
All right. Hit them straight, guys. See you later.
Bye, everybody.